nti bw'omala okujja ssente ku akawunti y'omuntu nga takuwadde lukusa nti okweka gundi eno yonna woba wabikoledde biki obijjawo nale sinaba kuyiga.
This young boy robbed a Ugandan bank of 150 million Ugandan shillings. Now, this young man is called Maurice. I don't know whether it is actually his name because on a number of occasions, people have claimed that he is lying. And I don't want to believe that he has lied about his name too. But Maurice is also said to be 22 as of now. Maurice story is a very interesting one. Now, according to him, he hacked into the system of one of the banks in Uganda and stole 150 million Ugandan shillings at the age of 14 years. Now, I don't want to discredit his story. Neither do I want to say he is lying. But in Uganda at the age of 14, it is unheard of for someone to be highly knowledgeable in computer matters to an extent of hacking a bank system and robbing it of 150 million Ugandan shillings. This story that is trending, but unfortunately, the story is in Uganda. I want to understand that some of you are unfamiliar with this language, but I would love to break this story into pieces. Let's listen to this little boy as he narrates what happened to him before and after he went to prison for the same offense.
Nga nkimanyi ginaawunya gitya kitegeera buli kimu kyonna ngenda kikola malidaadi ku myaka 15 nenkwata milioni 12 yampa 12 zeyakomako kati nkubira maama wange essimu nga mama amanyina omulimu gwe nakoze naye nafunye sente ambuuza Maurice wabbyani byebigambo byakozesa mugamba maama byo tetubigenda mu nnyo naye nina omulimu gwe nakoze nyina sente ambuuza sente meka mwaka 12 nangaazi mpe zonna nazimuwa mama wange nze mwagala nnyo ne kakati mwagala naye nze taata naye tetulina nkolagana eri awo yugete nga tetulina that bond nga kituufu tubeerawo ng'abazadde ne tutambula ffenna omuzadde n'omwana naye nga tetulinayo kitegeera that association tujja kuddawo tunyumye tusiniga nga sibigenda nnyo naye nga njagala nnyo maama wange 10 wayitawo meka ne tuddayo wa.
Now, Maurice's story is very funny. Maurice was arrested in 2019 at the age of 16. But Maurice is not saying that this is the time he committed the crime. The crime he's talking of was committed 2 years before he was 16. Most likely at that time he was 14 years of age. Now, this is where I want to draw our attention to. Maurice says that he was arrested in 2019 and taken to prison for the offense of stealing money from a banking system. In this video, he says that he started his career by stealing money from his school's bank account. It was some good amount of money, but when the school principal realized that money was missing on the school account, he went into the bank, he explained the whole story. The bank went into investigations and they realized it was Maurice who had taken this money. Now, this is where the story gets really interesting. Maurice says the principal, instead of going to police or to court, he went straight to Maurice's home and contacted him from there. In fact, he goes ahead and says he was forgiven. The principal forgave him and instead gave him a scholarship. Of course, according to him, probably the principal had ulterior motives as to why he forgave him and gave him a scholarship instead. Under the Computer Misuse Act of 2011, and I want to believe that this law is already in place because it was enacted in 2011 and amended in 2022. So at this time, this law is working. Under normal circumstances, a crime committed under the Computer Misuse Act is a crime against the state. So in other words, it's the state that's supposed to take on this crime as the bank, using the bank as the principal witness as well as the bank customer. But here Maurice tells us that the customer of the bank whose money had been stolen instead came to his home, forgave him, and gave him a scholarship instead. This is not true. If at all what he's saying is what he did, this is not what actually happened. Because under normal circumstances, the bank was supposed to take on this case and have him prosecuted instead. This is not all. Maurice goes on and says, when he was 15 years, that was around 2018, the principal approached him and asked him whether he's still doing those things that he did to him a year ago. The guy said, I no longer do those things. So the principal tells him, I have a deal. We are going to get some money, but if at all you get any problems from this deal, I don't know you, you don't know me, and it has nothing to do with me. We shall get money, I'll give you your share, and we shall call it a business. This is where Maurice tells us that this deal was about stealing 30,000 US dollars from a certain bank. The principal gives Maurice the banking details, the account number, the account name, and all the information he needed. This is according to Maurice. He goes on to do whatever he did to have this money transferred to the principal's account. And according to what he says that the principal gives him 12 million Ugandan shillings. That's around 3,000 US dollars for the job done. And according to him, then he doesn't get caught and life goes on smoothly. At this time, he travels to Tanzania, where he says his mother stayed, or maybe still stays at the moment. So when he's in Tanzania, he asks his mother that he would love to come back to Uganda to do some things. At this moment, he's already getting close to the age of 16. When he reaches Uganda, he rents an apartment in Kampala, and as life goes on, he gets arrested for being idle and disorderly. He is taken to the police cells and later released. After he gets arrested for idle and disorderly in 2017 and later released, he is arrested once again for idle and disorderly. Now, when he was arrested yet again for the same offense, idle and disorderly, he was taken to Central Police Station. But when he was there, this time he finds a certain gentleman. This gentleman is a very high-ranking officer at the Central Police Station. He asks him whether he's Maurice Khan. He says, yes, I'm the one. He asks him whether he remembers of something he did. I think the guy gives him certain dates, when a certain offense was committed. And he says, I don't remember, because at this moment, so many things have happened in his life, and I guess he doesn't remember the details of everything he has done through that time. So this officer reminds him of the day he stole 30,000 US dollars from a certain account. This was the deal his principal gave him. He first denies deliberately, but finally he's put under serious punishments until he accepts that yes, he actually did take the money. When he's asked with whom he was when he took the money, remember the principal had made it very clear to him that if things get out of hand and you are arrested, you don't know me, I don't know you. I'm your boss, do the job, I'll give you the money, and that's all. So Maurice says he was alone in whatever he did. And because he had been arrested for idle and disorderly, and he was almost getting to be taken to court for the same offense, this highly ranked police officer tells his fellow staff who are taking the file to the state attorney for sanctioning to court that his file be recalled back and amended to include the offense called obtaining money by false pretense. Now, this is where things get a little confusing because obtaining money by false pretense has nothing to do with a cybercrime. Obtaining money by false pretense is not a cybercrime at all. And the cybercrimes are very serious offenses, and there can never be a situation where they are confused to be cases related to obtaining money by false pretense, because we all know obtaining money by false pretense refers to taking money using tricks or lies, dishonesty, land fraud, things that fall within playing over people's minds to obtain money from them. But this offense outrightly relates to use of computer to obtain money from a banking system. And I want to understand that this particular police officer has no mandate to have Maurice prosecuted without the consent of the bank, because I want to believe that the bank is the chief complainant in this case. And since it already in 2017 we already have a law called the Computer Misuse Act, which was enacted in 2011 and also amended in 2022. So this law exists and it outlines which crimes can be charged under the Computer Misuse Act, or the CMA. When he says that his file was amended to include obtaining money by false pretense, it really beats my understanding. And whoever is watching here, it gives whoever is watching an opportunity to think that maybe this gentleman is lying and these things he's saying never happened to him at all. Here he's taken to Luzira prison. And when he's in Luzira prison, he tries to contact his parents, his father, his mother, his uncles, and everyone, and the phones are not on. So he stays there for 2 months. Finally, his fellow prisoners advise him, since he cannot contact any of his relatives, he can plead with court to give him bail. So he pleads with court, and court finally bails him and he goes away. He starts coming from wherever he was coming from to come to court and argue his case. So meanwhile, when he's still on bail, it's when he receives this call from an unknown number. This gentleman tells him that, I heard that you're very good in IT and there is something I want you to do for me. I want to send email to some people, but I don't want them to know it's me. So I want you to encrypt my email. The gentleman says, I will do that at a fee of 150,000 Ugandan shillings. He accepts, and in just a few minutes, he is done with the job. So after that, I think a month or so later, he's seated at one of the hotels in Kampala, and he sees people come gather around him. These were police officers in plain clothes. They are having handcuffs, they handcuff him, and they take him to the central police station in Kampala. At this time, he doesn't know why he has been taken, according to him. But when he reaches the central police station, he is asked by the officer who had committed him the last time for what he called obtaining money by false pretense. And the guy asks him, why are you here yet again? According to Maurice, he explains why he was there. He tells him that I have committed a certain offense and that's why I'm here. But Maurice doesn't say which offense he has been arrested for at this moment. But he assumes that maybe it is because of the email. And for that matter, his file is arranged and he's taken to court yet again. But now at this moment, he is already on bail for an offense he has called obtaining money by false pretense, which in my view is not actually an offense of obtaining money by false pretense. This is an offense under the Computer Misuse Act. Whether it's the magistrate who lied to him or he doesn't remember what actually happened, it's a discussion for another day. But he is committed to the same court for this new offense, which we do not know what it is. So he finds himself, he has to report to court because, of course, he's on bail, and he has to go to court because he's already under arrest. According to his story, nothing adds up from this point. Everything is just a creation, a story that is created, which I don't blame him for, because very many people have talked about him as somebody who is very crafty. When he wants to tell a story, he can tell it, and it is very hard for you to even imagine that he is lying. These are testimonies from people who have known him for a very long time. And later he says he has been in prison for over 6.5 years. I think this whole story is as confusing as how you can see it. We have had very many stories here in Uganda and across Africa where people just come up with stories, they craft them in such a manner that they are very hard to deny and they are very easy to believe, very convincing enough that everyone who listens to them buys into them. This is what Maurice Kahn does. I think from the testimonies of people who have stayed with him, he is a very crafty gentleman. And just like everyone else, I too do not believe in this story.